Hello and welcome to the Rodge review. Today I'll be reviewing the film Robocop from 2014. This is a crime science fiction film written by Joshua Zetuma and others, directed by Jose Padilla, with a soundtrack by Pedro Bromfman. It was produced by Mark Abram and Eric Newman. Production designer was Martin Wist, and it was also produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Pictures and others, and distributed by Studio Canal. The plot follows the upper management of the arms manufacturer Omnicorp, as it tries to influence the US public into allowing the use of drones on US soil. To do this, they try to put a human face on one of their combat robots by augmenting critically injured Detroit police officer Alex Murphy. However, as events in Officer Murphy's new life develop, he becomes more useful to the corporation as a martyr than out on the streets. And so Murphy must fight his own saviors if he wants to survive and find justice. The cast includes Michael Keaton, who plays Raymond Sellers, a lively, enthusiastic villain that effervesces with charisma. Gary Oldman, who plays Dr. Dennett Norton, who does a great job as a scientist that's torn between looking after his patients and developing his field of science by working with Omnicorp. Jackie Earle Haley, who plays Rick Mattox, an abrasive Omnicorp robot handler with a dislike of Murphy, and he does a great job of being an asshole. Samuel L. Jackson, who plays Pat Novak, a bought pro-Omnicorp and military journalist. And Joel Kinnaman, who plays Alex Murphy, who becomes Robocop. He does a decent enough job of being emotionally dead when he is under the control of Omnicorp, and emotionally unsettled when trying to come to terms with his own situation. The visual effects department did a good job of making Robocop look big and heavy. The robotic part of his body looks pretty cool. I particularly like the swept up and back red visor and the black colouring. The Ed 209s look intimidating, like something out of military science fiction, which is fitting, considering that's their function in this universe. And his visor and HUD scenes look pretty good as well, when he's tracking down criminals and analysing evidence and making links. Pedro Bromfman made a decent soundtrack, and there are a few tracks I'm happy to add to my playlist. It really adds to the tension in several scenes, such as in Tehran at the beginning and during Murphy's pursuit of suspects in Detroit. The relationship between Murphy's human side and his mechanical side is interesting. When he is being tested for the first time, his reaction times are shown to be less impressive than thought, as the mind is still having to talk to the machine. The development team overcomes this by prioritizing the machine part of him, allowing that to take control with the human part acting as oversight. At one point, they load Robocop up with a police database, and he starts to have a seizure. The development team alters the drug levels his robotic side is pumping into him to stabilize him, but in doing so his human side becomes inactive. In the story, Omnicorp sells independent combat robots to the military. These robots take over the role of field troops and hence greatly reduce the casualties US invasion and occupation forces take. This allows the US to invade countries where it would not normally be able to do so due to excessive casualties. The film starts with a display of the US's military occupation of Iran using robots and private military contractors instead of human soldiers. However, the US government doesn't allow for Omnicorp's combat robots to be used in its own police force, so Omnicorp develops Robocop as a backdoor to the domestic market, which is at one point valued to be worth $600 billion per year, by taking human police officers and heavily augmenting them with their own robotics. The story makes this legal as the human mind is still in control of the decision-making and not the machine. The problem here is that when they start the second test, they give the machine part control over the decision-making, which would technically make it illegal. Murphy is largely used by Omnicorp to put a human face on their products. Wristbands used by Omnicorp to indicate people their machines can't kill not only indicates their ultimate power over the machines they build and then sell on, but also their power over Murphy when he is trying to arrest Sellers at the end, and is prevented from doing so by another red wristband. Murphy also spends a lot of scenes attached to harnesses with tubes plugged into his body, indicating how dependent he has become on this sort of maintenance despite his apparent increase in power. The reveal of what is left of Murphy, just a head, lungs and a single hand, and the line "I never want to see myself again" like that, I found it quite horrific, but it was moving. When he is solving his own murder and going from place to place, reconstructing events and interrogating suspects, I quite like that scene as well. The gunfight when he assaults Fallon's hideout is quite exciting, and you get to see just how destructive he can be and just the level of punishment he can take. I enjoyed that. And his fight at the end with the Ed 209s is pretty action-packed, so yeah. If you were a fan of the original, this film is probably not for you, as while that one was more about the action, the one-liners, and didn't have any real social commentary to add, this one puts the social commentary front and centre. This is a much deeper movie that talks about what it is to be human, where the dividing lines should be in cybernetics, the political impact of replacing soldiers with robots, dangers posed by PMCs, and themes of police brutality, corporate use of individuals, and media corruption. In short, this is not a shoot bad guy feel good kind of film, but one which reminds the viewer that the bad guys get away with it in the modern world and puts a story about the nature of the divide between humanity and machines in the centre of that. I enjoyed this film, but like I say, it's not for everybody. I recommend Robocop for anyone who likes deeper storytelling in their action and science fiction movies. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to leave a like, a comment and subscribe. Take care, and more content is coming.